Today I'm going to be doing pads and rotors front and rear for the 3rd gen Prelude. I've not touched the brakes since owning this car, and it's been 5 or 6 years now, besides doing a really shoddy paint job on the calipers. So excited to get this upgrade in. I'm going to do it wheel well by wheel well and just work my way around the car and knock it out. So to get the caliper off, you have 2 17 mil bolts and 1 14 mil bolt that you have to remove from the back side of the caliper. I'd use a hammer to get it off these grimy old rotors. And here we are. I'm gonna take a Phillips head screwdriver and undo these 2 screws to hopefully pull the rotor right off. Now that we've got the rotor off, I've hit this brake dust shield with a little bit of sandpaper. Finally gonna get rid of this ugly blue spray paint that the last owner had done for some odd reason. That should do. Rotor's on, and I've got the new pads all up in here. They should be looking something like that, with the clips looking like that. And you had to put or at least I had to put the clips in first and then slide each pad respectively in from its own side, and started with either the top or the bottom and then cinched the other end down. So kind of a pain, but I figured it out. Now we can pretty much reassemble and put this front end back together. Passenger side front is all done and looks so much better. Even just having that blue no longer there, which actually looking, I think I missed a spot. That's unfortunate, but nonetheless, that blue is not nearly as prominent, and we have some nice new rotors and pads to go with it. So pretty stoked on this. Gonna knock out the rear. It looks like we have more blue paint, which I will spray over, but we also have this little shield over the caliper, which I think needs to come off first in order to give us access to both of these bolts here. So, and the actual caliper bolts on the backside. I'm gonna start by taking this off. It looks like either a 10, maybe a 12 mil, and we'll get started there. This is as far as I can get today on the rear. It turns out that it's actually got one of those, if you can see it there with the little cross in it, it's got one of those twisting pistons for the caliper. So not only do you have to press it in and compress it, but you have to spin it at the same time, and I just don't have that tool. So I'll have to run out to the parts store tomorrow to grab it, but I'm losing a little bit of daylight here. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it on this one, and we'll pick this up first thing in the morning. I picked up a rental tool from Advanced Auto Parts that comes with, it's the master disc brake toolkit, so it comes with a whole bunch of different stuff. But the thing I needed was this, which is a little adapter that is going to sit onto 3/4 inch drive. This guy, which seats, these little pegs here seat into the cross on the actual caliper piston, so you have to seat that in there, and then there's the 2 holes to put that onto there. So you have this assembly, you seat it up and line it, those 2 pins with the cross, and then you just clockwise to push the piston back in and counterclockwise to bring the piston out. I did have to use a breaker bar on the other side to get it moving at first, but afterwards I was able to use this 1/2 inch drive ratchet to make it happen. It does get easier to spin back in once you get it moving, but at first it is pretty rough, to the point where I thought the other side was seized, and fortunately I was able to break it free with the breaker bar, but this one seems to be a little bit easier going. It does get to a point where it seems like it's still spinning, but it's not going in anymore. So I think that should probably clear the new pads. Now we get to undo this caliper. Forgot if I mentioned that, but to do this, you have to disassemble everything, pull the old rotor off, and then reinstall the caliper bracket and the caliper, and then that will give you enough like structural integrity to be able to use that tool to spin that piston back into the caliper. So now we get to remove these again, put on the new rotor, paint this ugly blue, and reassemble everything. So after a couple grueling days, just 2 days actually, not too bad, I managed to get all 4 pads, rotors done, and definitely a learning experience. That was the first time I've ever done or had to install pads and rotors on calipers with pistons that had the twist and press. Usually I've only had the press, and now that I've had to do the twist, gosh, the press is so much easier. Nonetheless, I got it done thanks to a tool rental from Advanced Auto Parts. If you guys don't know about that little hack, you can get rental tools, specialty tools, things like that from AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts. I'm sure O'Reilly's or some similar ones do that as well. You basically pay for the tool up front, and then when you return it with your receipt, you just get all your money back. And yeah, it works out pretty good. I also am renting some spring compressors right now because I have to extend the shocks on the front on the first gen Tacoma. But Prelude's got new brakes, a new battery, starts up and runs pretty dang good now. Yeah, I'm gonna chill with the bodywork for a bit during the winter time, unless we get some really, really nice stretches of days like we have today. Then maybe I'll do some body work, but for the winter time, I'm thinking I'm just gonna be tidying up other parts of the car that can be addressed in the meantime. And then when nicer weather comes around, then we'll tackle the body panels and continue doing that entire restoration. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you hanging out, and I'm sorry for the lack of uploads. No excuses there, but here's one for you. Hope it helps any of you third gen guys. Make sure you leave a comment down below, and see you next time. Adios. Keep elevating.